Segment 6, Nikud Achat, Nikud Dalet. Lakachti chesef v'yama halachti. Lakachti chesef v'yama halachti. Through this segment, you'll develop your ability to retell something memorable that you as an individual have done. To do so, we'll need to be able to make statements beginning I, as in I took. We'll develop these by starting with the third masculine form, such as lakach, he took, and then add the suffix consisting of a shava, tav with a dagesh, and a hirik yod, so that it will look like this. Lakachti. Again, lakach becomes lakachti. Please do notice that the accent will rest on the second from last syllable. We call this the penultimate syllable. Again, the pronunciation is lakachti. Just as we found for the yictol conjugation, when it comes to I forms, first common singular, this first person has a common gender, serving both masculine and feminine. Let's look over several examples. Incidentally, we're retaining the third masculine singular form in a shaded column as a reference point for you. Each of these are past tense, and they mean I, first common singular, did something. Achalti. This means I ate. Again, achalti. Halachti. Halachti. Zacharti. Zacharti. Yaradti. Yaradti. Katavti. Katavti. Lakachti. Lakachti. Nafalti. Nafalti. Avarti. Avarti. Kamti. Kamti. Shavarti. Shavarti. Shachavti. Shachavti. Samti. Samti. When we were working with the yictol conjugation, we had to be careful in situations where the first radical was one particular consonant or another, because the yictol required us often to put a prefix that would interfere with or require adjustments with particular first radicals. Now that we're working with the katal conjugation, since it makes changes only to the suffix of the word, again, the katal conjugation makes changes only to the suffix, we won't need to worry about situations where there are particular first radicals. We will, however, need to be careful with certain third radicals. So let's look at some of these. First of all, let's look at some third yud-hey verbs. In these situations, we'll want to observe that when a shoresh ends in yud-hey, a hirik yod routinely appears after the second radical. It will take the place of anything originally in the third radical location. So the verb bana will become baniti, baniti, I built. Let's continue down the list. Ra'iti, ra'iti, shatiti, shatiti. Now let's consider what will happen when the third radical is either a tav or a nun. In the case of a tav, the first common singular conjugation, as you'll recall, adds a tav itself in the suffix t. Consequently, only one tav will appear, and a dagesh will take the place of the lost tav. This happens with the third nun as well. So the shoresh karat ends in tav. To say I cut, it's expressed karati, karati. Notice the dagesh in the final tav. Natan ends in nun, and it's expressed natati, natati. Notice the dagesh in the tav. Finally, let's look at verbs whose third radical is aleph. To develop a first common singular form, meaning I did something, simply add t to the third masculine singular. So matzah becomes matzati. Again, matzati. Please notice that there is no dagesh in the tav, unlike other standard forms, and that's due to the fact that this suffix t is preceded by an open syllable consisting of the tzadi kametz aleph. Here are two examples then. Matzati, I found, and nasati, I lifted. Segment Shesh Nikud Achat Nikud He, snapshot of a sample verb. Once again, shamar as our pattern verb, and here we see displayed the katal conjugation of first common singular, shamarti, I guarded.